Who are you guys?
Welcome to LoddenPod, episode 1. My name is Frida. You can find me as Valkyrie Frida on Instagram.
And I'm Miriam, and you can find me as Pharaoh LW on Instagram.
Everything is going to be in the description box. So
yeah,
our Instagrams, the podcast Instagram, because we have that as well, and anything we might mention.
Yeah.
So look down below and most likely you will find the answer to your questions. But if not, please comment and we'll answer. And also, just before we start, we have a little disclaimer.
Yes.
We might swear from time to time, and if that's not your cup of tea, that's completely fine. This will not be the podcast for you.
Yeah, if you like having podcasts on in the background and you have kids around and you don't want to expose them to swear words, then this might not be the best podcast to have on in the background. We don't swear a lot, but we're both adults.
The odd word might slip in.
Yeah, we both occasionally do swear, and we would rather just naturally be ourselves instead of censor ourselves because we're on camera.
Yeah.
And if that limits who watches, then that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Not everything is for everybody.
There's a lot of you.
More than we were expecting. A little bit.
So here's the thing. When we started this thing, it started as we're a lot together. And we talk a lot, mainly about knitting. Might as well include people into that conversation. So let's just add a camera. The only thing that's going to change is we're going to have makeup.
Yeah.
That's really, yeah. We thought if 20 people watches this, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that was our goal, you guys. We were like, if 20 people watch it, excluding our watching it.
Yeah.
So I think maybe 5 or 6 views are us rewatching it.
Yeah, because I haven't seen how you can watch it without whatever.
Yeah. No, so we have to click on it. So there's a few views that are us clicking on it to watch it.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do. But there is right now. It's been viewed 265 times. Which I haven't gone into the metrics and seen if people are actually finishing watching it. So it could just be clicked on.
I don't know how to do it. That's your thing, but thank you so much for using your time to watch our little dinky podcast.
Yeah, that's really cool. And to those of you who commented, that's really cool. We were
baffled
and thrilled.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really, really cool, you guys.
So welcome back, or welcome to you new viewers. This is our episode 1, as the first one was more of a preview. Prologue.
We wanted to fully do it once and see if we were interested in continuing. Which
we are, but it's been a learning curve.
Yeah.
It's been a steep one. You might have noticed if you watched the first one that some of the information might have been just slightly out of date.
A smidgen, maybe?
It might have just taken us 6 weeks from filming it to getting it up.
It's too long of a production time.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So, we're working on, getting that shorter. We're also working on not having over 2 months between posting.
Yeah.
We're thinking once a month is the sweet spot. Anything extra is bonus.
Yeah. So there might be some bonus stuff, but we want to do once a month we want to have something out. So that's definitely what we're going to be aiming for. And I think that in terms of the editing, because that is a large part of what took a long time for the first episode, will go quicker.
We just needed to get into it. And we're still gonna learn while we're doing it.
Yes. Did you know, Frida, that you need light when you film things?
Who knew? We've already filmed this before. And we started off fairly okay because, it's snow outside and we have the reflection, but we also live in Norway. And the light disappears.
We didn't notice. You know, like when you sit in a room and you have like a little bit of light and then it gradually gets darker and your eyes are getting acclimatized to it because it's very gradual. And we're just sitting there and it's like we started and it was like, it's a little dark.
It's a bit dark.
It is a bit dark. And then we're starting to, and by the end of it,
not to worry, it's gonna be low key.
it was pitch black outside at the end of it and we had one light going.
Actually, black.
It's now dark. And it was
That was the TV.
It was just a TV with like a light picture on it to have some like cool light basically, because if we turned on all the lights in my living room there was so much reflection behind us, we didn't want that. So we were like, oh, this would be like a really smart solution. Whereas if we'd had all the lights on, we could probably use that footage. But you know, whatever. We live and learn. We live and learn.
So we're gonna redo it.
I think inevitably we'll get better, but I don't think we're gonna stop making mistakes.
No, I don't think so. And it's gonna be a steep learning curve still.
Both of us are fairly new to filming. I have some film experience, but definitely not on-camera experience. But more behind the scenes, and I'm not familiar with how to film people.
But we're getting there.
Yeah.
So,
Bear with
welcome
us.
to episode 1, 2.0.
Yeah.
We try to have a Cal, or we did have a Cal.
I mean, we did. It didn't go to plan.
But it still happened. So again, with that, it was something that we found a pattern that both of us wanted to knit, and we figured we would have like
a Cal, like just between
knit
the two of
along
us
together.
Yes.
And then we figured, why not just include people if they want to join?
Yeah.
And this is some of the things that were a bit out of date in the first video. We intended to have it for like a month in August.
Yeah.
Then we had to extend it to the end of September, I believe.
Think so.
Even that didn't really happen. And we're gonna talk a bit about why that didn't happen and, you know, knitting mojo and stuff. But we did have a participant.
We did! That's so exciting!
I know.
We didn't really think anybody would participate, to be perfectly honest. It would be cool, like, if somebody was like, oh yeah, this is neat, or whatever, but we genuinely thought, especially since it was, like, the episode didn't come out until October, and all the deadline was passed, but somebody actually participated just, I think, off of Instagram, which was really neat.
Merethe, thank you. You made our day.
Yeah, that was
Really.
so cool.
Yeah, we've talked to her and she said it was okay to show her photo. So we're going to put that up here. We're also going to link her Instagram in the description because she does a lot of cool things. So you should check that out.
Go and check her out.
It was incredible that somebody wanted to join.
That was really, really cool. One of the things that we really want with this podcast is to build a community.
Yeah, we want just participation.
Yeah, just like a little small community of people who enjoy knitting. And I know there's a lot of people out there who enjoy knitting, but we both find sometimes that can be a little overwhelming. So we wanted to make like a little space.
Yeah.
We wanted to see in the knitting community. So that's what we're trying to do here.
I think we're gonna try and do cows sometimes. They're gonna be very low key.
Yes.
It's more of us participating in something together.
Yeah.
More than having to finish it. We don't want to put extra pressure on you guys or on ourselves.
No.
It's supposed to be a fun hobby.
We're doing this to de-stress, to chill out, to create garments that we want to wear. And if you're not doing that when you're knitting, why are you knitting?
Yeah.
And maybe you're knitting for other reasons, in which case, cool, that's your reasons. But those are our reasons for knitting.
Yeah.
And if we find out in the middle of a project, I'm going to talk about, that maybe this isn't not the project for you, then it's okay to then just be like, okay, well, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do something else with this material that, you know, we spend a lot of money on.
Yeah.
Because we both enjoy spending money on yarn.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to put it to waste.
That brings us into the next thing. So you might have noticed that the title of this video has to do about mojo, and when you lack your knitting mojo, you wanna talk about what happened to your Lekre cardigan?
This is what happened to my Delacroix
Ta-da!
basically I got, I'm undoing it. So I got further than this. I got past the ribbing and I realized I wasn't enjoying the color as much as I thought I would. So the first time was without linen, just with the yarn from Helena. And I think it's a beautiful color. But as I was seeing it on the sweater, I realized it wasn't a color for me. You know how you can enjoy something, but then you're like, oh, I love that, but I don't want it in my house kind of thing. Like, it was one of those situations like, oh, this is turning out really pretty, but I don't want to wear this garment. And I'm knitting it for myself, so. And then you might notice that the secret word of the day is linen, at least for me, because I'm putting linen and everything. So I got this linen to just show it a little bit better.
So it's like a gray with a bluish undertone.
Yeah, it looks like a purplish gray kind of linen, and it's a little thicker than the one that I showed previously that I started using in the diagonally sweater. And I've worked with the same linen but a different color before, so I know it's going to turn super soft. I really enjoy the way it turns out. And I added that to this.
I'm just gonna...
Yeah. And while I enjoy that combo, quite a lot actually, I don't enjoy it for this pattern. So I was knitting it, I was kind of not loving the color for the pattern, though I like them both separately. And I was also thinking about the fact that for reasons that I don't really want to get into, I'm in the process of losing quite a lot of weight, which is necessary, but I'm not going to go into it.
It's not for aesthetic reasons, and you having to lose weight doesn't reflect how we think about
other people around us. I can understand having experienced it myself when you look at somebody and maybe you're bigger than they are, or maybe you're smaller, or maybe you're the same size and they say, oh, I want to lose weight. And then you go like, oh, does that mean I have to lose weight? And I don't mean to put anything like that out there. Just for my own reasons, I need to lose weight. It's a pretty significant amount to where I am right now. And one of the things that I was noticing when I was working on this, as well as the diagonally jumper, was that these are both fairly form-fitting sweaters. And hopefully by this time next year, I'm going to be quite smaller. And I don't really feel like putting in a lot of time and work and effort into something that I'm not going to be able to enjoy in a year. That feels like too short amount of time for how long it takes to knit a cardigan or a sweater. And so I decided to
scrap it.
And
that's completely okay. I also struggled a bit with my knitting mojo. Yeah. It started a bit with the Delacour. Like we talked about in the first episode and a bit on Instagram, is that I was struggling to finish the sleeves. I had a heavy case of the sleeve denial. Sleeves doesn't exist. They just appear magically, and
they take no time to knit, right?
I usually knit up Helena's patterns fairly quickly because they're cropped, they're fairly like fitted, so it doesn't take so long. But this took me so long to finish, and that was mainly because of the sleeves. And it was just so hard to get out of the knitting mojo. You have a very like specific reason. Like, it was the color, and it was that you're not gonna be able to wear it in the same way when you're thinner. I don't know what happened. It's just sometimes you're not feeling it and it can take longer, and that's fine.
And it really felt like you hit a wall that like you didn't really know. It kind of came out of nowhere.
No, it just it was so frustrating to But I did manage to finish it.
Yeah, I know.
It was very nice.
Really cool.
Let me see. Oh, let's just here it is. I'm very happy with this. So it did turn out slightly more of a blouse than a cardigan. It's fairly close to the body, and so I wouldn't necessarily wear this outside of other clothes. It wouldn't look very nice, but as a blouse, I absolutely love it. I've worn it quite a lot since I knit it, and it just makes me feel really pretty. And I'm so glad that I persisted and got through the horror of the sleeves. And that's a different way to solve it. Just like take the time you need to finish something, or if you don't want to finish it, don't. That's a few of the reasons why the cal
extended a bit.
Just a smidge.
I don't know why my voice went that low right there, but yeah.
Yeah. I think we're a bit uncomfortable with how long it took and trying to it's fine, but it's still...
Yeah, and I'm definitely uncomfortable with the fact that our podcast is hosting this cal. I'm not even doing it. I'm definitely feeling that uncomfortableness.
Yeah.
But we both had problems with this project, and I think it's kind of a nice juxtaposition that I chose to scrap it and you chose to finish it, and we're both really happy with that solution to it.
Yeah.
So neither of us are wrong or right. We're both just,
did our own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we think that you should do the same. We want this to be, like we said earlier, chill. We want everybody to just enjoy it. And if you're not enjoying your project, don't do it. You can repurpose the yarn. You can sell the yarn. You can take the time it takes to finish it, even if that takes months or years or whatever.
As long as you're enjoying the project, that's what's most important.
Yeah.
And if you enjoy having a project lying around for years and just doing it a little bit now and then, and you're happy with that, then do that.
Yeah. Here's the thing. We might end cals, but if you take a year to finish it, please use the tag either way, because we'd love to see what you do.
Mm-hmm. And if you, yeah, totally. And if you find this, a year from now or 6 months from now or whatever, and you're like, oh, that looks really cool. If you go back to the prologue episode, there's links to the pattern and stuff, so you can easily find that. And please use that, if you were inspired by it, please use the hashtag. We'd still love to see your project.
Definitely.
And it is a really cool piece of garment. I do want it. I just want it. I want to make it at a point so I can continue to wear it. Yeah. So I don't have to feel like, oh, I can't really wear this anymore because it doesn't fit my body the same way. That's the only reason why I didn't finish it.
Yeah. Then we can maybe move on to finished objects.
I have no finished objects that I can show.
Well, that's fine. So the first thing I have is the Lekre cardigan, but I'm not really going to go into it that much because I spoke in detail about it in the first episode. So if you want to know more about the pattern, you can check out there. What I will say is I still adore the yarn.
The yarn is so pretty. I want to do something with that yarn.
Yeah. So this is Fable Knitwear's own yarn, so the same person who designed this, Helena. It's in the color Duskwood, which I feel it fits Lekre so well. It's with the Athena base, so it has some stellina, so it's shiny. And I'm gonna use this for holiday parties. I already have a dark gray skirt, and I think it's gonna look so pretty.
It is really pretty.
Now I'm gonna buy some dress clips. So I'm gonna have vintage dress clips here.
That's so nice.
It's gonna look so good.
That's really cool.
I have a few finished objects that I can talk about.
Please show me.
Most of them are test knits for Helena. You might see that she's gonna be heavily featured, at least in these first episodes. Yeah. She has started releasing her patterns for her newest collection, which is called Magical Places, I believe. The first one I knit is the one I'm wearing. This is the Burrow Cardigan. I knit this before the summer, and this is seriously my most used garment of this year. Yeah, no. Because it's so good for layering over summer dresses in the summer. When it got a bit colder, I would actually use it as a PJ when I slept in the tent, because it was just slightly warmer than a normal tee. It works so well to layer over dresses and whatever now that it's colder. I love it so much. So I have actually bought yarn for another one. I just have to wait until Christmas is finished because all of the gifts is basically the reason.
I also knitted a version of this in completely black yarn that was a gift for someone. So I have knitted it as well. And it's a really cool, I thought it was a really easy pattern to knit.
It's easy and it's versatile, like the garment is very versatile.
And one of the things that I really like about Helena's recipes in general, and I mean this in the best way, they're very simple. But what you end up with is such like an elegant product. But it doesn't feel like a struggle. It feels very natural. And then you're done and then you're like, whoa, that's so cool.
Her patterns are very easy. They're well written. I want to say streamlined.
Yeah.
You understand everything and everything goes like it should, basically.
Yeah, we're big fans.
And that's part of the reason why we're fans. But I have this bundle of joy. And this is actually the rest of the Magical Places collection that she did. The first one is the one I also showed in the last episode, the Diagon Alley jumper.
Yep.
I love this. It looks so good on. Cropped sweater, medium high neckline, puffed sleeves. It's very elegant and it's such like a basic thing to have in your closet, and I pull it out every week, I think.
And some of you might remember that I also started on this sweater. I can actually show you here. This is what I'm sitting working on here while we're filming. Here's the rest of how far I got with that. This is another project I'm scrapping because, again, for the same reason as I scrapped the Delacour one, personally I don't want it to look baggy, and so I'm gonna wait to knit it. That one I do still want to knit in this colorway. I think it's beautiful, but I also don't want this yarn to just sit around for a year, so I'm going to knit something else with this yarn. Yeah. And I have a few ideas.
To be continued.
Indeed.
But over to something you haven't seen before.
No.
This is the third.
Oh, so gorgeous.
So this is the Olwery. I don't know if she's decided to call it a jumper or a blouse, but I feel like it's somewhere in between a blouse and a jumper. It's knit with Pickles Pure Wool here, and then this is a silk mohair also from Pickles. And I just love it. I think it's inspired by Edwardian, so early 1900s blouses with all of the ruffles. So it has a ruffled collar. It has ruffled cuffs and really billowy bishop sleeves. It's so pretty. I've gotten so many compliments when I wear this because it's so unusual for a knitted garment.
It's pretty unique, yeah.
Yeah, and everybody wants to know if it's actually knitted. And I'm like, yes it is. I love this so much that I'm gonna knit another one. I've bought silk to do it. I'm not usually a fan of the halo of the mohair. So I've bought plain mulberry silk that I'm going to try and do this up in, and I think it's going to look really good. I'm doing it in a brown, so hopefully it's going to be safer around Christmas parties, because you know I'm not going to do anything with red wine while wearing this. Yeah. And also I need to show this. Ooh. The button. So this is a vintage porcelain button that I think is from fairly early 1900s. I'm not sure about the exact date. Again, really easy pattern.
I also want to knit this.
I think here's the thing with her patterns.
Yeah.
This can look fairly complicated because it has some really cool details.
Yeah.
But they're not hard. Even if you're a beginner knitter, I would just try it out because you're going to be surprised by how well written the patterns are. And so even beginner knitters can succeed.
And they are surprisingly easy to do. And that's one of the things we really love about her stuff, as we've said ad nauseum at this point.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and also just like a tip, if you find patterns to be a bit intimidating, you can look up what people think about them in advance, if people think they're easy or more difficult. And then when you have your pattern, read through the entire thing before you start.
It's like a recipe.
Just so you have a bit more of an idea.
I remember the first time I knitted a raglan sweater from a pattern. And I remember reading through it. And I got to the raglan bit and I was like, I don't understand what they're talking about. It was knitted from the bottom up. And I didn't understand what they were talking about in terms of putting the sleeves on and knitting round. And it was it was so confusing. It was utterly confusing to me. And I asked a friend of mine then if she could explain it to me, and she did. And I had to make notes, and then I came home. I was like, I still don't understand this. But her suggestion was just wait until you actually have the garments. So when you read through a pattern. When you read through a pattern, don't be discouraged if you don't understand everything at the time. It's still important to actually read through, and because often things will become clear as you're working on it.
It's more so that you know what's coming next, more than that you have to understand every step before you start.
Yeah.
Sometimes, if you don't read it through, you're not gonna see that two things happen at the same time, but it would be really weird to have those two descriptions in the same sentence. They might come straight after each other, but if you just knit from the first sentence and then realize that this other thing happened at the same time, it might be difficult. So just like read through it quickly, know that you know the things that are gonna happen, and then start.
Yeah.
And then if you're ever confused, you can look up videos on YouTube, you can ask the designer for help. Just send them a mail and see if they can clear up your questions.
Especially if it's an independent pattern maker, most likely they'll want to help you and want to hear feedback about where people mess up.
Yeah.
And stuff. So that's,
So all of the ones I'm showing you now, just to be clear, are test knit for Helena. And the Olwery jumper, I think, will come out in the beginning of December, I think. Yeah, so you have something to look forward to. Another thing you have to look forward to is this one. So this is the last one in the Magical Places collection. This is Ollivanders Turtleneck. This is probably my favorite jumper at this point, just because it started snowing, it's really cold here, and having the turtleneck, so it's a double turtleneck, so it's flipped over. It's just like so cozy, and I usually have a scarf over it, but then it's like super cozy. It's like combining a cowl and a scarf, without having to have the cowl. Again, it's fairly cropped. It has this color work that's supposed to be inspired by magic sparks from a wand. Then it has billowy bishop sleeves and a fairly long ribbed cuff. Yeah, so the cuff goes up quite far up on the
almost halfway
lower,
up your forearm.
Yeah. I knit this in Hillesvåg Tinde, which is their pelt wool. So it has like this lovely sheen, and it's a little bit fluffy. It's just lovely.
It's also one of those yarns that the longer you use it, the softer it's going to become.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a super soft sweater.
Yeah, I love it. And then the color work I've done in Hillesvåg Ask, that was colored by Laila, or varbitt. So this is the color Yoga, I believe. And then I've had a thin thread of silk that was plant dyed as well to give it a little extra sparkle, keeping the magic alive.
Indeed.
It has some German short rows to shape the neck. Here's the thing I struggle with. And it's after you've knit it, which way is the right way? So which way is the neck and everything?
What's the front and what's the back?
Yeah, I constantly have to count the rows before the raglan starts. So what I did here is I did a little embroidery. It's not going to be super visible when I wear it because of the turtleneck, but it's just a little bit of interest. So I knit it in silk, and this is actually gold plated or gilded silver thread. So actually metal sparkle goodness to keep the magic alive.
Magic alive.
This is coming out, I think, in the end of November. I've already bought yarn for the second one.
Yeah, I also want to knit a version of
because
this.
it's so good. You should definitely just knit it as soon as the pattern's out, in my opinion. One thing more. With the permission of Helena, I did some alterations to the pattern, to the color work. So originally it stopped here, and then I asked her if I could play around with adding another row because I prefer it to be more dispersed, I guess.
Yeah.
I asked her if that was okay. She said, that's so cool. So I did, and I really, really liked it. And what I think is really cool about being a test knitter is it's interesting to see how patterns are made, in a sense. It's really cool to feel like, I don't know, it's a bit of a privilege to be the first to knit something. Mm-hmm. It's very fun. And also if you have a nice person, they let you play around with it and they let you have some creative freedom with the pattern, as long as you ask for permission.
Very important.
Yeah, ask for permission. Then it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's really, really fun. I highly recommend doing a test knit.
Yeah, but only if you want the garment that is being test knitted.
Yeah.
It's very important. Like, we are kind of obsessed with knitting this stuff, so we don't mind. I'm taking a break from it in a little bit because it's a genuinely more fitted silhouette, and so I want to save those for right now. We both really, really enjoy
her design,
so we know that we're going to enjoy the garments. Don't just do it to do it unless you want to give it away and you have a specific idea. I feel like we both are big proponents of knitting with intentions.
Yeah.
Not just,
Yeah, I think when we buy yarn, we want to buy yarn for a specific project. Mm-hmm. If we don't end up knitting that project, that's fine, but then we try to either repurpose the yarn ourselves or, like you're doing, sell it, so that we don't want to have a stash just to have a stash.
Yeah.
We enjoy having plans for the things we buy.
Yeah, and I think we both enjoy having yarn for the projects that we want to work on. So it's not necessarily only the ones that are currently on the needle, but if we have a plan for a specific thing, like, we both enjoy having that available to us.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm working on a project which I'm not going to be showing on camera, but it's part of that project is using up a lot of my spare yarn because I don't really feel like I want to have it around, just to have it around. But I also don't want to, there's no point in throwing it out because it's perfectly fine yarn. There's just not a lot of it. I specifically thought of some projects to do with it, to use it and make it have a purpose.
Those are my test knits that I've finished. Just to finish up the finished objects. I have a few smaller ones that I can show, and then it's all of the gift knits, I'm not going to show them now. We're talking about before we actually give them away, at least the Christmas gifts, is to take some photos, and then after Christmas we'll show it, because I think it's still interesting to see what people give as gifts. But before then, I have this. So it's a beautiful hat with a textured pattern, so it's like diamond shapes. I knit this for my mother-in-law. She had this yarn lying around, and she has so many hobbies that she can't prioritize to knit up all of the yarn she has. So some of the yarn she's given to me, thank you, Anne. I wanted to thank her. And so it's just like, maybe you can give me some of the yarn you really love and I can knit you something. And she said that she really wanted a hat in this yarn. And so I knit that. Now it's done, it's washed, it's all good. So next time I see her, she's gonna get this.
It's a nice thing to do, since I've seen the amount of yarn she gave you. It was quite a lot.
I'm very lucky. I also have this. So these are also a gift. They're for my brother. I don't think he's gonna watch this. I think it's fine.
If you're watching this, turn it off now. Okay. Cool.
So I've knitted these mittens. So this is knit with Laila's pattern Helt, Enkle-votter.
Okay. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Just a really plain mitten. What I really love about the pattern is the gore for the thumb. Oh, they're really big for me, but to show you, the shaping of the thumb is really seamless, and so it fits really well over the person's hands
they fit.
Yeah. My brother's not into a whole lot of patterns and bright colors, so I've gone for, again, Tinde, Tinde, in a deep, deep blue. I feel that's gonna be okay. Yeah. And then, here's the thing. My brother has a tendency to lose mittens, and that's fine. A lot of people do. I had the idea of doing something that a lot of parents do to their children's mitts when they go into kindergarten, and that's adding a thread. So here's the thing. I'm gonna attach this to the end of the mitt, and then it can go through the jacket, so the arms of the jacket, and then if you need to take off your mitts, you're just gonna dangle there.
Yeah, this is probably not gonna show up on camera, but this is a rounded braid.
It's I-cord.
It's I-cord, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not just a thick piece of yarn, which it kind of can look like.
Okay. No, it's knit I-cord. I've used 4 stitches for this one to get sizable.
Yeah.
It's not really big, but it's not like...
So for those who don't know, basically what you do is that you thread this through the arms, and then and then like around the shoulder and back through the arms.
Yeah, and so it's gonna be.
And it's most commonly seen on kids in kindergarten who can then just take off their mittens
and not lose them.
And not lose them. And you can also get ones that you can like attach to different things.
Yeah.
But the most secure ones are the ones who obviously can't attach, that are just attached to the mittens.
What I have decided is that my brother's an adult, and so he might not enjoy this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give him the option. I also think it's fun to give him the option.
Yeah.
But what I've done is I've crocheted some cute buttons.
Very cute.
I've used the same yarn. Again, I don't want it to stand out too much.
No.
And also I think it's going to be fairly secure because wool can work a bit like a Velcro.
Mm-hmm. That's why you can cut wool garments without them unraveling.
Yeah. It's just a teeny tiny crocheted button that I'm going to attach here. And then I've crocheted a little loop at the end here. And so if he decides that the whole kindergarten style is not his thing, he has the
option to take it off.
Yeah. I really like these ones. So now I've learned that this is a really good thing you can do with scrap yarn if you want fabric buttons.
Yeah.
That's it for finished objects I can show.
Yeah.
It's just a few things.
Just to quickly go through the ones that I gave away, has included 2 hats and a pair of like bicycle
mitts,
gloves.
Yeah.
But yeah, no mittens. I guess they were like fingerless.
Yeah.
But they didn't have individual things for the fingers because that was too complicated to knit. In a really cool linen mohair blend.
Oh, I love that one.
It was really good. Actually, I think I brought the yarn with me. So the bicycle mittens were knitted in this combo here.
Again with the linen.
I like linen. So
I love linen, but I've never knit with it. I think I need to try it out.
I just completely fell in love with it. I've also really fallen in love with mixing fibers when I'm knitting. So I really enjoy having 2 threads of different fibers. Linen is really thin and more sustainable than cotton. And it gets really soft when you use it. So I enjoy it. It's easy to add without having to go up in needles and stuff. But I also want to experiment with other things. And again, I really like mohair, but the same as Frida, I'm not the biggest fan of halo. Like even this has somewhat of a halo. This is about as much halo as I like.
Yeah.
Really. But I knitted this for my cousin, who's adorable, and she loves yellow, hence why it's yellow.
It's very happy color.
It's such a happy color.
I can like imagine her on her bike in the spring.
She put them on right away. It was super cute. She's adorable. And we share a birthday, so that's really neat.
Nice.
Yeah, like I said, I knitted a black version of the Burrow cardigan. And I finished this, I suppose. Maybe this wasn't finished the last time we...
No, I think it was.
I think it was. I don't remember if I showed it or not.
Me neither.
But this has become very quickly one of my favorite garments. This is East Cull by Caitlin Hunter. Also known as Boyland Knitworks.
Isn't it?
Boyland.
We'll have a thing on the screen.
There will be a thing on the screen. There'll be the link down below. I really enjoyed it. It turned out a little bit different than I was expecting it to, but not necessarily in a bad way. The sleeves are a little short, but I'm gonna knit it again and just knit longer sleeves because apparently I have longer arms than I thought I did. I also did one alteration on it because in the raglan it has a braid, a cable.
Yeah.
pattern, and the cable pattern ends when the raglan ends in the pattern. But I decided I wanted to continue it. So I took both of them, I continued them further, and then I shortened it and put them both together.
Yeah,
on the
I
side.
think it looks really, really good.
And I really like it.
Me too.
And I wear it so much that it's not 100% finished stitched up. I still have some things I need to sew on it, but I wear it so much I don't ever have time to sew on it because I'm using it. So I definitely need to knit another one.
Yeah, I think so.
And this is knitted with linen and alpaca blend. This is really the starting point of my linen obsession, I'll be honest. And this is like a pre-mixed one from Miriam. They have a bunch of different colors. I really like grays, so I picked this one. I kind of wanted to knit another one in like a darker gray.
Who needs color, guys?
Definitely not me. But yeah, I am thinking about like a darker gray that's almost black with a black linen thread that's like a little shiny. I think that would be really pretty.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, that's all I finished. The thing is, if you're watching this and you think to yourself that this doesn't seem like we've been in a knitting mojo, like that we've been down with our knitting thing, it is very much, we're comparing it just to ourselves. To what we normally produce, to what we were knitting over the summer. We were producing so many garments over a very short period of time. So even though, yes, we have finished a lot of things, comparatively for us, it's been very slow. And I'm still finding it slow. It was so quick over the summer. I'm a little frustrated with how slow it's going for me currently.
I think that's the thing as well. Like, we can only compare to ourselves.
Yeah.
We don't want you to compare
to us,
your productivity to our productivity. And it's more that, well, I had a few mistakes that I made. I had several jumpers that I had to rip back because I made mistakes. I've knit a gift that turned out so big, and I've put it in the cupboard, and it's there to...
It will magically shrink.
No, it's more that it's in the timeout corner.
Okay.
I'm a bit frustrated with it, and so it's gonna stay there until I feel like it's skammet seg nok.
Felt enough of the shame.
Yes. Yeah, it's in the shame corner at this period of time. And it's more that we have produced stuff. It's not that. It's more that I've hit walls that I didn't know what came of. I've had mistakes made, and when you make so many mistakes at the same time, it's just so frustrating. And I didn't feel like picking up my knitting, which is unusual. And things that I know I would have finished fairly quickly end up taking a lot more time, and that's frustrating. Yeah, because I mean, I want to knit a lot of stuff for myself. I'm building my wardrobe at this point. I started knitting properly for myself this spring, and so I still have a lot of things that I feel I miss. I miss another cardigan. I miss a few more like winter jumpers that are more, day wear rather than hike wear. And so when I can't do that, it's frustrating. And especially when I know I have a lot of gifts that I'm planning on knitting, and so the time I have to spare just like dwindles away, and I still have this like long list of things that I want to make. But I'm getting out of it a little bit. I had a few projects that were just lying there, and I took one, finished that, took the other, finished that, started with the smaller, easier projects, just to like, when you have to build up your mojo again, you need to prove to yourself that you can actually finish projects. And then when you do that slowly, you're probably gonna get it up again. And
I have a project I'm gonna show afterwards. That is me doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Both of these two were that for me. I had started on them, but I had to put them down for different reasons. And then first knit this, then knit this, and then when that was done, I could feel like my mind was more clear. I didn't have so much baggage. Yeah. I just didn't have so much knitting baggage.
And we definitely don't like having unfinished works on the needles. I think we both prefer to then just take it apart and do something else.
I think we're both more monogamous knitters in that sense. I have quite a lot of projects right now.
Yeah.
It's a bit annoying, but it's because I have to have different projects for when I'm with different people. So if I'm with my boyfriend, I can't knit for him, or if I'm with my family, I can't knit for them, and so I have like 5 different projects that I can bring to different occasions.
Mm-hmm. I have the same thing, but I also have a project that I can really only work on when I'm by myself because it has a complicated pattern in it, and so I have to focus on that.
Yeah.
And then I have other things that are easier to do and just like knock out a bunch. And then one of the things that I started on is actually quite tiring to knit. So I can't work on it for too long because it's, you'll see it's with a lot thicker needles. I think it's needle size 12.
Oh, that's big.
European size. And it's just, I get really tired. Like, people talk about how like hands get cramped and stuff. I don't get that with small needles, but I'm getting it with these big ones. Speaking of which, might as well just show it now. This is my huge project that I'm working on.
Very chunky.
To get my knitting mojo back. I do believe the pattern is called Chunky Baseball Sweater. It is so gorgeous. I'm just in love with the wool. I'm kind of sad.
What is it? Is it merino?
It's merino, but it's the big balls from Pickles that they're discontinuing, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah. I'm sad that it's going away because I am really enjoying working with it. They're a business. I'm sure they have reasons for not selling it anymore. It's different colors than it was in the pattern. But I wanted to pick colors that were slightly different from what they had pictured. It's a design, it's from a design collaboration called The Valley, which is a design collaboration between Pickles and Laura Dalgaard. I'm probably horribly mispronouncing her name because she's Danish and I'm Norwegian. I'm sorry, Laura. I can only guess at how your name is pronounced in Danish. Also, I'm not going to pretend to speak Danish.
No, because it's going to sound really, really bad.
Yeah, let's not even go there. It is tiring for my hands, so I can't knit too much at a time. But, I mean, I hadn't even started this last Wednesday.
No.
And I'm already this far. And I haven't prioritized this in any kind of way. I've just been doing it a little bit here and there.
So it's a fairly fast knit, I would say.
Yeah, it's a fairly fast knit.
So like, it feels like something, if you stuffed this, it would be like the best pillow.
Yeah.
Like,
it's already pretty pillowy.
Yeah, it is.
It's gonna be a really good chunky thing.
And this is it a twisted rib?
So yeah, so I changed it because I like changing patterns. Basically, you're supposed to knit the rib on a size 10 needle, and these are size 12. And I should have a size 10 needle somewhere, but I can't find it. And I don't knit a lot of things on this big needles, so I felt very disinclined to go out and purchase just for one project, especially when I know that this yarn is getting discontinued, so it's not like I can purchase it and be like, oh, I really like the yarn, I'll want to do other things in this yarn.
No, yeah, exactly.
So I didn't want to spend money, basically. I changed the amount of stitches around that I added in the beginning, and figured out an amount so I could easily increase when I got finished with the ribbing. And then I also knitted the right stitch in a twist, and I continued it upwards a little bit so it didn't have like a harsh ending, because I thought that would be kind of cute. Yeah.
Yes,
but
that's very nice.
But it's only continued a little bit, so it's not a ton.
No,
it's only on one side as well.
Yeah,
so
I can see it.
Both.
So it's like a very smooth transition.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be a subtle transition. It's going to be a V-neck, kind of loose fitting. It's
inspired by college sweaters, is that correct?
The Valley is a series of patterns that is inspired by Moomin and Stranger Things.
You know, the most natural combination of things?
Yes. 80s nostalgia and Finnish writer and artist.
Yeah.
I'm waffling on the colors right now. I'm enjoying them.
Yeah. I get messages like every other day like, I'm not liking this. No, you know what? I'm loving this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
But again, I don't right now want to spend any more money on yarn.
No.
The only way to fix it would be to change some of the colors.
No. Finish it.
So I'm going to just finish it, and then I'm going to see. And then maybe I'll give it away to somebody if I really don't like it.
Yeah. I also have a fairly fast knitting project. It's also chunkier yarn than I'm usually doing. It's another test knit. This is, I think it's a collaboration with Helene, so Fable Knitwear, and Pickles. I don't know how much I'm allowed to show. Christmas sweater, I can say as much. I want to be clear, I got yarn support for this, so I didn't pay for the yarn because it's a collaboration with Pickles, but I got the yarn support. The podcast is not sponsored in any way.
Even though it may seem like we're being sponsored by Helena, we're really not.
No. We just love her a lot. So when we filmed this on Wednesday, the first time, I had this much. So I had made a quite stupid mistake of
I forgot about this.
So, you know, after you've done the neck, and it's a raglan sweater, so you have to split it into, you know, sleeve,
all
front,
stitches,
sleeve, back.
Tell us what you did, Frida.
Well, you shouldn't do it when you're really tired, a late night when it's dark.
Because what you ended up doing
was sleeve, back, front.
So you were like,
you know, a very, very comfortable sweater where you have
constantly dabbing.
Yeah, basically. And of course, I didn't really realize that until I had finished the yoke. This is also part of why I'm in a bit of a knit mojo or lack thereof. But I ripped it back. It also had to lie for a few days till I can like muster up the courage to begin again. But it's taken me a very short amount of time to finish this because I had to finish a few of the smaller projects before I could start this again. And this is knit over the weekend where I spent a lot of the weekend doing other things. So again, it's a quick knit. Yeah. This is knit in Pickles Fat Merino? No. What was it?
I remember we had to look this up the last time too.
Yeah, because we kept calling it Fat Merino, but it's not a Fat Merino.
Worsted Merino.
Nice.
You live, learn, and then forget.
Yes. It's very, very soft, very comfortable. So here's the thing. With the Diagon Alley jumper, which is knit in Pickles Soft Merino, after just one wear, it was very like felted underneath the arms. And I don't enjoy the look of a felted armpit, to be honest. And so that's the reason I'm a bit more inclined to knit with Norwegian wool, a different type of wool, have a bit longer fibers so it doesn't mat as easily. So I'm a little bit concerned about that here, but since it's a Christmas jumper, it's not going to be worn as much as my Diagon Alley is, and so I think it's going to be fine. But my initial idea before I knew I was getting yarn support was to knit it with Hillesvåg Blåne, so one of the thicker pelt wool things. So I think I might actually try that as well because I think that's going to work nicely.
The pattern is very, like, it's like when you know that it's a Christmas sweater, you go like, oh yeah. But the pattern is subtle enough that you could easily wear it outside of Christmas time. Yeah. Especially if you go for not very obvious Christmas colors. So if you knitted it in red, green, and white, it might be very Christmassy. But if you knit it with other colors,
I can show you what I've done.
Yeah.
It's the green base, and then I've gone for ochre mustard yellow and a cream, so a natural cream.
Yeah.
And I really, really enjoy it. I think we're going to be able to show it in the next episode, and then I'll show you the pattern in more detail. But I'm really happy with it. I really enjoy the feel of the yarn. I really enjoy the look, how it's very sleek. But like I said, if you're like me, one who might sweat a little bit under your armpits, it might felt. So just bear that in mind.
Yeah. Another thing that I'm currently working on, which you might have seen in the background last podcast. It was in the background, but I don't remember if it was in frame or not. Is these mittens. I haven't gotten super far. Sorry, I'm just gonna poke your eye out with them.
So this is the cuff?
Yeah, that's the cuff. It's these two mixed together. I believe they're Rauma lumber, and this is dyed by varbitt, and this is just white, and you knit them together. And I'm about to start the brioche part of the pattern. It's the brioche one. And you can do them as a color work one instead, but I definitely want to do it as a brioche. So I'm about to start that.
Oh, that's
They're
also so like nice.
Yeah. If you have the program from the Oslo Knitting Festival, the ones I am knitting are the Vandria mittens, and they're designed by Laila Henriksen, who is the woman behind varbitt. I think this was the first yarn I bought from Laila, actually, because she sold little packages.
Oh, I remember. I remember when that was.
Yeah, she sold little packages of colorways that she enjoyed, pre-made, for the Oslo Knitting Festival. And you can still get the pattern. I don't know if you have to buy it through the Oslo Knitting Festival website or if you can buy it directly from Laila now, because I know they have some rights stuff. I'll link the pattern to the mittens, wherever they might be. So when you do the brioche, the pattern kind of sticks out in a really pretty way. And I'm going to use the brown for the pattern because it's the brown that I like, and I'm going to use the white in the background. So I think it's going to give it a slightly different feel than...
yeah.
Because a lot of the other ones I've seen that have colored yarn mixed with a white thread have used the white in the pattern, but I want to do it the other way around.
It's gonna be cool.
I'm looking forward to it. The reason why I finally started on these, because I've had them now for a while and I haven't felt any need to like run into starting with them, is it started snowing in Norway. And I noticed that I really wanted some mittens.
It's fairly cold. I have to knit a few mittens as well. The only ones I have are too big for me, and they're knit in fairly thin wool. So when I was out shoveling snow yesterday, they got cold and wet really quickly. Really quickly. And so I think I'm going to have to knit a few that actually fit me, and they're slightly more substantial for my shoveling needs. You might notice a red thread through this episode of we've struggled with our knitting mojo. Here's another one. So basically this is how far I got on the other green sweater by last. Well, I had knitted more, but as we spoke of, I had to rip it back.
Yay!
With this one, I also made a mistake and also had to rip it back.
Did you make another dab sweater?
No. There it was. So let's just talk about the pattern first, and then we can talk about what I did wrong.
No, I want to talk about what you did wrong now.
This is also test knit. I really love test knitting. I think it's really fun, and I've found a few designers that I really enjoy. And so when they put up these photos and they're like so pretty, I jump on the chance to knit them. It's the Chelonia jumper. Chelonia is the scientific name for turtle, and
That's
cute. It's a turtleneck, and it's really nice because in the pattern they're talking about how endangered turtles are, and that a percentage of all patterns sold will actually go to help preserve and save turtles.
Yep.
Very well put, but we'll put a bit about it in the description, and you'll read all about it in the pattern if you choose to buy it.
Yeah.
But what's really cool is you can like make it your own. So it's basically like you can choose the length of both your like the body of the jumper and the sleeves, and it's knit so that or written so that you can choose the type of structure you want. You can either have it in seat stitch, in double seat stitch, in just plain stockinette. What I want to do is make my own sort of structured pattern of small diamonds, which look really nice, and it worked fairly okay. But it has some German short row shaping at the neck that comes all the way to the front. And because it was a new pattern, I was a bit unsure about it. I was just like, oh, but I'll just do stockinette here. But then I ended up having like stockinette patches here that looked very strange. Very, very strange. And now that I've knit past here and seen that it looks strange and how I might actually fix it.
Yeah, fix it.
So what my plan is, instead of fretting about how to start, I'm just gonna find the middle stitch and say that that's the middle of the middle diamond. And then like reverse engineer what I need to do from there. And then when I just start the pattern here, I can just follow that through. So that's my plan. Again, it's had to lie in the corner of shame for a little bit until I could actually get myself to pick it up.
Learns how to behave properly.
Yeah. Behave. It's more frustrating that I made the mistake and made so many mistakes at the same time. But it's gonna be finished in time, and it's gonna be really pretty when it's done. I forgot to say that this is designed by Anne Tvedt or anneleis on Instagram. Another really good designer.
Links down below.
As always. She also has a few like teaser photos up on her Instagram if you want to see how this is going to turn out. I also really love the yarn or the color. This is Rema Finul.
Yep.
Yeah. You have some more to show?
I do have some more to show. I am also currently working on the Bergenseren from the Bergen Knitting Festival.
It's a very clever pun. Because in Norwegian, if you're from Bergen, you're a Bergenser, and it's Genser is Norwegian for jumper.
Or sweater,
Yeah, so clever pun. We enjoy it.
This is designed by Marte Nilssen or Malene Lue on Instagram for the Bergen Knitting Festival of 2019, which is past at the moment of filming. I'm really enjoying working on this. It's gonna be beautiful when it's done.
Yes.
It's both of the colors are hand dyed by varbitt, and the darker color is Lillebror, and the alternating like lighter color here is one color way that is called skyer or she. I forget if it's multiple or singular.
But clouds.
Yeah, it means clouds. And Lillebror means little brother. It's on Røsli. With the name of the company who made it underneath here. I can tell by having it in my lap when I'm working on it that it's going to be a really warm sweater. I'm excited. Blue is probably my favorite color to wear when it's not gray and black and white. It has some brioche in the necklines.
Yeah, so this is the smart brioche that Laila has a video for on her Instagram. I think it's Instagram TV, IGTV. Yeah,
I think so. And she has a thing on it on her Instagram, so go there if you want to see how it's done. It's a really cool technique of doing it, and you have like a secret little inside in the collar. And then this is how
that would look so good if you wanted to flip down the collar.
I know, I totally have thought about that. It has some German short rows to shape this. Otherwise, right now it's very straightforward with knitting around. And I'm really enjoying it.
Also, this, you can choose two ways of knitting this. Either with the rain lice, or like, so it's supposed to be like the raindrops.
Yeah.
It rains a lot in Bergen. Or you can do opplet when the sun is out and there's no rain.
So in the pattern you can do
just
with or without. Yeah, so it would just be plain. But I really enjoyed the loose. I don't know what to call it in English. That's this little, when it's like the little individual stitches in this kind of formation. Currently this is my mindless knit.
Yeah.
I don't need to think about this when I'm knitting it. I'm working on this whenever I'm traveling or something like that, because I don't have to currently read the pattern at all.
No, it's easy to follow.
Yeah, and knitting along as I go. So it's slowly coming along.
Yes.
I'm excited about that.
You might understand that I've also knit this, so it's secret.
It's a secret knit.
Yes. Yeah. You'll see it at some point.
At some point in the future.
Possibly just after Christmas.
It may show up in the future.
Yeah. My last work in progress that I can actually show I haven't come too far. Again, I had to start something because we were going to my in-laws and I couldn't knit what I had in my bag, but luckily I had this yarn ball, and so I was just like, okay, I'm gonna start some easy, don't have to think about it, socks. So this is the vanilla sock pattern by Mina. On Instagram, she's the knitting expat. She has 2 Ravelry pages, one for her designs. So this would be Knitting Expat Designs, I think. And then she also has a YouTube channel where she does some vlogs and some podcasts. I really enjoy her podcasts. This specific pattern is actually free. Well, she calls it a vanilla sock. It's a very like straightforward, nice, plain sock. And she has a pattern where it's Mina's two at a time socks. So where you can learn how to do 2 at a time on a magic loop.
Which is great if you want to knit socks, doing them both at the same time.
Yeah. I'm a fan of doing it with DPNs, to be honest. So I'm just doing it with DPNs instead. And then I'm also going to shorten it because these are for my boyfriend. He enjoys to have socks that are just like right at his ankle. So I'm actually stopping now and starting with the heel already. Mm-hmm. It's knit in this natural yarn. I can't tell you much about this. It's a very woolly yarn.
It has some bite.
Coarse. I bought this at a Viking market. Don't know what breed it is. I think it's completely uncolored. It looks like it.
Yeah, it looks very natural.
It also has a lot of organic material in here.
That's a nice way of putting it. Things that you would find around sheep that is not gross.
Yeah, it's not gross. It's clean. But because it's socks, I think this is going to wear really well even though it doesn't have any nylon in it. And I prefer to knit without any nylon in my yarns.
Yeah, I do too when I can help it.
I'm interested to see how well it holds up. Mm-hmm. But then again, I have these socks. These are completely natural. You can see that they're quite felted. But that means that there's a lot more material around the heel and the pad of the foot. Mm-hmm. And so it really holds up well. Mm-hmm. And if you get a hole here, it's really easy to just make a patch and sew it on. And so I'm hoping that's what's going to happen with the gray socks. Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. That's all the things I can show for now.
I have one more thing I can show. So this is from the book Instastrich. Sorry. I just translated it. Instastrich. It's a Norwegian knitting book with patterns from Norwegian knitters on Instagram.
Yeah, so they're people who have done well on Instagram and they wanted to go together and make a book, and it's just really lovely. So it's some already existing patterns and then some that are exclusive for the book.
Yeah, and it's only available in Norwegian. But this is one of the ones that are exclusive to the book. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a scarf.
Mellomskjerfet?
Yeah, it's called Mellomskjerfet by Dropple Design. Mm-hmm. I'll link the book and Dropple in the downstairs underneath the video. This for me is scrapped other projects that I haven't even talked about on the podcast. Mm-hmm. Yarn that I'm repurposing for this
very gorgeous manner.
Yeah, I think I'm so happy with how it's turning out.
Yes.
I'm really excited about that.
I've talked about this, but I love the difference. So you have several different types of yarn here.
I have 2 different types of yarn, yeah.
Okay. And
no, there's 3 technically.
And because one of them is the willow, I think you said?
Yeah, so the base color, which is this pale pink, this is Storybook on Willow by Helena.
So it's the same yarn that we talked about earlier in the Aura.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really have a halo.
No, it really doesn't. It's very soft. Storybook is this gorgeous pale pink that has hints of darker pink. It also has a small hints of a light brown, so not a beige. It's very much a brown, but it has these like moments of light brown in parts of the yarn. You're not going to see it on camera. It's very, very subtle.
But it's enhanced, I think, by the other yarn.
Yeah. The other main fun yarn, this is Tinde, and it's colored by Varbitt, and the colorway is Mikkelrev, which is the name of a
children's character.
Yeah, it's a fox. A fox children's character. I saw it, instantly fell in love with it. Mm-hmm. It's this gorgeous kind of fuchsia pink with like orange tones to it. Some brown.
And the thing is, that picks up on the
brown in the
story. Or rather, this picks up on the brown there.
Yeah, it's really, 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 really pretty. And then for the loose, I have more Tinde, but this is factory colored. So I don't actually remember what this color is, but I will look it up.
It's like a mossy green.
Yeah, and I will look it up and it will be in the link below.
And like we talked about earlier, how pelt wool. So these Tinda is pelt wool.
Yeah.
Has a bit more of a halo.
It's not as pronounced as a mohair.
No, but it has like some strands sticking out. And what I really enjoy here is the combination of the willow, which doesn't have a halo, and the halo of the Tinda, and how it sort of blends in a different way. And also I think that all of the stitches are more pronounced because there's a difference in texture.
Yeah.
So I think it's really, really pretty.
And also what I did with this, you may also notice there's a trend of me changing the pattern, which is why I'm not a good test knitter. I tried it. Helena, I'm sorry. And while I enjoyed a lot, like helping out, I really enjoy that. I like changing things too much, I noticed, for me to be a good test knitter. Because I see little things and I go like, I would prefer to have it this way. And I'm very staunchly on the fact that if I'm knitting something, I'm gonna do it my way.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
And like
so,
sometimes that's fine. Like I said with the Ollivanders Turtleneck, I asked permission to try something out. She said it was okay, but that's not always the case. And so I was completely fine with having a sweater the way it was originally designed.
Yeah. So with this pattern, because I'm enjoying the play between the Merethe and the storybook so much, I basically, on one side of this scarf is a pattern of diamond shapes that sort of like fade away into just two colors of what's just going to be the green and the pale pink. And I just enjoyed the Merethe too much to let it just be that little pattern at the beginning that fades away. So I extended the complicated bit as well as having the faded away bit. So it's probably going to have less of the loose part. We have to look that up, what that is in English.
We'll just call it lice. It's a single stitch that stands alone.
I also increased the number of times the pattern repeats. Might be knitting it shorter than what the pattern calls for, because it's a really long scarf with really big tassels, and I might want it to be slightly shorter. I haven't made up my mind about that yet.
I mean, you have time.
I have time. I'm excited to use this in January, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Because I too have plenty of things that I cannot show.
What can you do?
That's Christmas for you.
Yeah. So this past week I went to Oslo for a 3-day knitcation, as I like to call it. There have been some events in Oslo, and I wanted to take a few days to just enjoy my hobby. It started on the Monday with, I took a course in drop spindling with Ronja, or rent oppspinn. And I really, really enjoyed that. So I have here my first ever handspun.
Yeah.
So this is mainly Norwegian white wool. It's a direct translation of what we call the wool. It's a fairly short, it's not very short, but a fairly short fiber, but it has a lot of crinkles. It's easy to spin. And then in between here I have like different fibers that I've tested. So there's some lamb's wool, there is some Icelandic wool, there is some pelt wool that were just like the locks. And it's clear that some wool is a lot easier to spin than others. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And then, because I really enjoyed it, I might have bought some things. I bought tuller, rollags it's called in English.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually have one that I made myself. So it's like this, and then you can spin from the end. So you can pre-draft it a bit. I bought a set of, four rollags that I spun up, and when I had trouble sleeping this weekend, I stayed up basically all night spinning and finished my second yarn.
It feels very Rumpelstiltskin.
Except it's not wool. Except it's not gold, I mean.
It's not gold. You don't have to guess somebody's name. You don't have to give away your firstborn.
The nice parts.
Yeah.
I really enjoy how this turned out. It's like fall leaves, like autumn leaves, some yellow, there's some orange and red, and a few bits of green. The green has disappeared a little bit because it's very much marled, and so it's become slightly more brown than the Rolex were, but I really enjoy that. And I'm fairly happy with how even it's
the consistency
it's not very even, but for this being my second ever hand spun. I'm really, really happy with it. And then I also bought a bat like this. And I want to start on it, but I'm terrified that if I do, I'm not going to be able to stop. And so what I think I'm going to do is divide it into pieces for each remaining day of November, so I can do one little piece per day. And then I won't use all my time on this and forget to knit all of my gifts and test knits that needs to be done.
But you also won't lose the getting the hang of it that you've
started.
No,
yeah. The reason why I want to keep doing this is I actually want to learn it. I might have bought Ronja's advent calendar even before going to the course.
Yeah, you might also have some fibers of your own that needs to be something to do something with.
Just like a loft of linen that needs spinning, you know. So
as one does. I mean, don't we all have lofts of linen that needs to be spun?
As you do. I want to know how to do this. I think it's a really good trait. So yeah, hopefully I'll manage to take one bit per day, not the entire thing over one night.
Yes. Because sleep is the thing that is good to have.
It is good. The rest of the vacation was mainly with the pop-up that was there. So they had Strikkesilla, which is Tina and Veronica, I believe. And what they did was they created a pop-up shop. So they rented a place in Oslo. They got yarns and stitch markers and totes and t-shirts, everything to do with knitting, from different indie people. All the people who participated sent their products down to Oslo. They set up the shop, and so you couldn't like buy it. And it's really good because usually it might be difficult to get a hold of it, either if they only have a few shop updates, or you can't manage to get to one of the festivals during the year. So I really enjoyed that. And they also combined that with having different courses. So on Tuesday, I did a course in photography. So photography of knitting for Instagram specifically with Tina. And they had some like panels and things like that. So yeah, I spent my first half of last week just talking about knitting, buying things for knitting.
Living the knitting life.
Yeah. Completely just...
Filming a podcast episode we can't use.
Consumed by knitting.
Consumed by knitting.
For a few days, and it was really, really nice. So if they ever do the pop-up again, I really, really recommend to check it out. Even if it's just to go there and knit, because they had like a lounge area.
Oh, that's nice. I didn't go at all.
No.
But sometimes you don't have time.
No, exactly. I really enjoyed it. I think it should be done more.
Cool.
Thank you so much for watching.
Yeah.
Again, we're incredibly thankful for
all the support and
just watching, commenting, liking it,
interactions on Instagram. It's been really cool, you guys.
We're definitely going to continue doing this. Hopefully more
frequent schedule than what we have had so far.
Yeah,
that learning curve, man. It was like
yeah, this time at least we managed to get the light thing right.
We got the light thing right, we hope. It's probably changed while we're filming because we are reliant on natural light.
Yeah.
If you're working on something, please share with us. We'd love to see what you're working on.
Cool.